Welcome everybody again to another episode of Releasing Your Inner Being. I'm Leslie.
And I'm Stacey Lynn.
And thank you for joining us again. I hope you enjoyed episode 1, and if you have any feedback or questions on the last one or this episode, please comment below and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have about spirit, about your journey, or just random ass questions about maybe
Life.
your dreams or
Yeah.
life.
What's irritating you? What do you need guidance on?
So, to continue what we were talking about last week with spirits, let's round it out about
I thought we were going to touch upon energy. You know, we were talking about energy,
oh yes.
and then how energy affects our life, and kind of we were going to do the dry erase board and all that good stuff. So I think we'll continue talking about energy, unless you want to talk about anything else with spirit before we. I mean, it's all tied in together,
Yeah.
right? Spirit
It's
is energy, energy, spirit.
It's all tied in.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about like negative spirits, but that can be
Oh,
perceived
no.
as negative energy.
We'll talk about that. Then I can tie in how negative spirits can attach to you. Let's get all creepy in this one.
Ooh.
I love it.
Oh, we could. Do you want to?
It can go any way. We
Let's
have
see.
bullet points to follow, but who cares if we go haywire on this?
Let's see what happens. So, inner energy, outer energy, things that attach. I personally haven't had anything attached to me, but I've had experiences of creepiness, of
Yeah.
feeling cold, the goosebumps on the top of your arms, have had that experience of something is watching me, something is following me. What is that? And the best description that I can give, I had this dream and it felt completely real. I was awake, and it affected me so much that when I woke up the next morning, I sat down and wrote out every single feeling
Smart.
that I had. And it was during college. It was at an interesting turning point. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was going to graduate soon, and I had a lot of pressure from both my parents, myself, and then also trying to figure out a relationship at the time too. And at that point in many people's lives, it's a turning point. And I had a lot of negative feelings coming at me all at once.
Yep.
So within that dream, I was walking down a hallway, and there was a dark figure, black figure outline. It was white light behind that dark figure, and I could tell it was just a bad energy, bad creepy feeling that I had, and I kept walking closer to inspect it, and everything in my body just seized up, and I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything, and it was walking towards me.
Yep.
And that's when I woke up. It was so chilling, but I wanted to express those emotions that I was feeling and the thoughts that were coming through my head. That's why I wrote it down the next day, because I thought, hey, this would be a really good movie.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like if you can plug a cord into my brain and to have it appear on the screen, everything that's going on. Can you imagine? That'd be cool.
And that's what I wanted to express. I wanted to show people what exactly is feeling. Now at the time I wasn't dabbling around in energy work or spirit.
She wasn't weird yet. I'm just kidding.
Well, I was a little weird, but no, I wasn't as weird as I am now. That's thanks to Stacey.
We say that with love. I'm weird.
Quirky.
There we go. Eccentric.
That's it. I haven't been locked up yet, but
This is true.
But I wanted to express, like I said, a good horror film. All those
mean,
feelings, everything. That's what it's based on.
That's got to be where the screenplay writers, they're deep in their mind. They have bad dreams. Like, let's face it, that's
Right.
where they're pulling from. Their dark places, their shadow places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could think of later on in life is that it was a shadow person. And when I was talking to Stacey, that's when she cued in, like, maybe it was something a little bit darker, and that just freaked me out. I never had that dream again. I never had that feeling ever again. But to have that experience, what exactly does that mean? I mean, I'm sure people out there have had that similar or same experience. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Is that a shadow person, or is that something even deeper?
Yeah, I think when it comes to dreams in general, I think everybody, first off, I believe dreams are your subconscious mind playing out all of the situations that you're going on in your life.
Okay.
So whatever you're fighting with in walking life, I think we then subconsciously dream about those trials or those lessons we're trying to learn, right? But if we have darkness in our life, if we have things like attachments or negative energy or people around us that are negative, that's going to materialize in our dreams too. So I think sometimes it is because, and usually you knew that was something deeper than just a negative energy.
Oh.
You knew it was some type of force at you. Do you know what I mean? Like if you really when you dream and you write out your dream, like that's what I tell people that I do coaching with, journal your dreams, even if it's not in great detail, because those dreams tell you a lot. It tells you if you have negative energy around you. It tells you if you're struggling with self-confidence, with money. It tells us so much. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'll go off on tangents. I think I'll say that every week. But I think with dreams, yes. Like, I just had somebody that came in my office that they had a dream about a woman, and she was screaming, and she had black eyes and a black mouth.
Oh,
like
wow.
Nothing in there, and she knew that it was due to some type of energy that was on her property. Like she knew it, and when she's telling me, I knew.
Right.
If that makes sense. So I think you definitely know, but there is a combination of your own mind and if there's negative energy around you. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes it's situations, and sometimes it's actual. Some people are being haunted. Like hauntings happen. Like. I know people are like, oh, I don't believe, but hauntings happen. I've seen too much over the last 20 years. Hauntings happen.
Yes.
So I have so many stories of hauntings. But you go and finish yours. Sorry.
No problem. Personally, I don't think I was being haunted because I never had that dream again. I never had that feeling again, and I never saw that dark figure ever again.
Yep.
It could have been residual energy from a previous owner, because I was in a brand new condo building at that time, so it might have been some residual energy from that area. We were right next to an Indian preserve, so it might have been something along those lines. What Stacy kind of shined a light on, which surprised me and actually rang a bell with me, was that it could have been a spirit that was investigating me, because I was so negative. I was so in the darkness.
Yep, which will explain that.
I was so much in that darkness where it made sense that something was investigating me to see if they could attach to me.
Yeah.
And apparently I might have been too light.
I like that, because the core of who you are light. I think we all. You have like that little song, This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine. When you are at the core of you as light, I think most everybody does. It's just whether or not we feed that light.
Right.
You know, so I think if your core light's just too bright, they're not going to attach to you.
And I think that's what happened. They might have peeked in just at that time.
That's a good bumper sticker. When your core light is just too bright. Back off, my core light is bright. Right. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
We also had another one. Let it go, let it flow.
Yes, let it go, let it flow. It's not about me. That's the mantra.
That has been my mantra.
Let it go, let it flow. It's not about me.
We'll get to that in another episode.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think it was just something that was speculating, and at that time, it was like, oh, well, no, we can't attach, or looking at if it could. Now, with that type of a spirit, is that a really dark spirit, or is that more of a spirit assistant? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's different types of spirits out there. There's people who have passed over and didn't go where they were supposed to be.
Right.
So, meaning they didn't pass over to the other side, to heaven, to whatever your belief or your faith allows you to believe, or the name you call the other side. There's that type of entity per se. It's just a person who passed over. I have found that just over the years when I've gone to haunted houses and done clearing, we do the investigation first, kind of get a feel what's in the house. I have found where they're human spirit, but they've been disconnected from source for so long that they almost start to go a little crazy, and then they might not be as kind as they should be. Do you know what I mean? So then people can confuse that haunting at their house of something demonic, but it's not demonic. It's just been disconnected for so long, or it's living in that imprint of how they died. If it was aggressive, it was in a negative way. If they had a hard life, like they're still feeling all of that, if that makes sense. But then I call them oobly gooblies. I don't know why I call them that. Who knows if somebody told me the name at one point or another. But the oobly gooblies is the things that live in the dark. And they can attach to us, and they suck our energy, and they do. It doesn't mean they're going to make you do bad things. That's when you start getting into demonic things. But I have seen too much with my own eyes to know that demonic energy does exist. And it's our personal responsibility to kind of make sure that we are feeding our internal light and being the best persons we could be. And so we don't get into situations where, because negative energy feeds off negative energy. So if, we focus on trying to be the best people we can be, it allows us to make sure we don't get connected to that type of energy. Which I'll draw that out on the board.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I think that we should show.
Do you want me to show you what I mean? You want me to do it now?
Yes.
Look, I come prepared. I'm not messing around here,
this
folks.
This will be a good transition. Because I think a lot of people out there, they understand what dark energy is, but attachments. Yeah. Like what you were saying with spirit, they can do the same action over and over again, but they're not demonic. They're going through the motions, and they don't realize that they have passed on, or they...
Yeah, I mean, that's mostly what I think we deal with. I mean, I personally have seen some dark stuff, and I'm sure I'll tell you stories on each of the podcasts of different... over the time of us doing this, the stories are going to come out. Because I have put myself in situations that were negative, or I wasn't in a good place. So, in doing the kind of work I was doing without being in a good place, which I'll explain, opened me up for nasty shit.
But I know personally, I'm protected, and that was my most fearful thing, was to have those dark entities or things attached to me. But
but you completely control that, so do know that. We'll have to definitely do personal protection. That could be a next topic. But anyway, so this is the way I view energy, and how our situations in our life and how everything affects us, and I'm just going to start by explaining it. And if it doesn't make sense, then leave a comment telling me I didn't make sense and I need to redo it, because I will. Okay? So this is what I believe. And I'm not going to go all crazy as far as colors. We're just going to use purple. So to me, this is source energy. Okay? So what I mean by source energy is, again, whatever your faith calls it. I grew up believing that was heaven, God's energy. Other people believe it's earth energy. Other people just believe it's source. Whatever you believe, but that's the energy in which our soul comes from, okay? I believe that energy is a higher energy, okay? So it vibrates a higher energy, higher than us, okay? So then this is where, we'll say, the angels live.
Or the bright spirits, whatever that you believe in.
Yep, spirit guides, ascended masters, ancestors, whatever you want to do. Then I believe energetically, there's middle of the road energy, okay? That's where we are. So we're just going to be stick figures to help with time.
So we're just kind of in this middle.
Yep.
Just going, bopping around.
So I believe that energetically we have an aura, or our soul, and it's connected to source. As if we have an umbilical cord that constantly pours energy that keeps us tethered to source and tethered to our body. So that's the aura. So really your aura, to me, the way I view it, is your aura is your spirit. They say that your spirit's in your body. I believe that our body is inside our spirit, because our spirit's all around us with our aura. Okay?
That makes sense.
So then there's a lower vibrational energy. Okay, this is where we'll do Pac-Man ghosts. The ghosts live. The creepy crawlies will make them look like spiders with not enough legs. Okay, so this is just the lower energy. Okay, so as we go through life and we go through experiences, things that are not great for us, things that are good for us, but mostly it's the bad stuff that we're taught throughout life when we go through situations. We're never really taught on how to let things go. So bad things happen to us, we hold on to it. I always say we shove it down into our guts, but we just don't release negative energy because we're really not taught how to do that portion. It's nothing against anyone not teaching us, it's just not talked about. I didn't go to kindergarten and they tell me to cleanse my soul and release stuff. They just don't.
Nope.
So what happens as you go through life? We'll explain me. So I start life and say, I don't know, you're made fun of in school, like I was always a fat kid. So I had negative energy and I always thought, well, I'm so gross, I'm so fat, I'm so masculine. Love to talk to this day. I talk too much. I deserve abuse. Whatever it is that we're holding on to that makes our soul start to get really heavy, because on top of our energy that we're holding on to all these things that hurt us emotionally, because emotions are energy. So where we were is emotions. Emotions are energy. So when you go through something in your life and it creates an emotion, positive emotion, happiness, that's light. It's this kind of energy up here. So when you go through things that make you feel good, you don't have to worry about holding on to that or not, because it's kind of this higher vibrational energy. Here comes the dog again. However,
I saw her. We had a brief little puppy break. A little Trinity coming down to
the dog.
visit.
The dog visited us. Okay, so we're on emotion.
Yes.
So emotions carry energy. So think of when we're happy, that's good emotion. You know, we feel light. It's when my clothes look the best. It's when I'm happier. So, but when you have emotions that have a negative. So you ever have that feeling like somebody says something to you and you get like a charge, like it's like, oh, they really hurt my feelings. Or they'll say something and you literally feel like you're going to burst into tears.
Yes. Today.
Yes. Which we need to talk about that. So those negative emotions, which seem so simple, like, you know, no big deal, like whatever, we're human beings, we go through emotion. But what happens is we have these negative emotions, we feel it, and instead of pushing it down to the ground, we feel it, and then we stuff it into our guts, or a lot of times we bring it up into our heads and we think, and that's a whole nother episode. But churning that, you know, your minds, that whirlwind of thoughts, like you go through something, someone pisses you off, sorry if you have to beep that out, somebody makes you mad, and then all of a sudden you're like on your way home from, say you're visiting with somebody, they made you mad, and then the whole way home you're thinking of 1,000 different ways you could have said something when they hurt your feelings, and then you think about it before you go to bed at night, and then that triggers another memory of something that hurt your feelings. It's the whirlwind, right?
Yeah.
So why we have those and why it happens is emotions have energy. So here it is, like I said, whether I'm the fat kid or I talk too much, whatever these things in my life that created emotion that I held on to, right?
Right.
Made me heavy. Not weight-wise, energy-wise. So what happens is here I am again, okay? Now I'm heavy. So I'm still tethered to source. I'm still pulling energy from where I'm supposed to, because that's who we are. But what happens is I'm so heavy with all the stuff I never learned to let go, I'm down lower, which makes me further away from my spiritual guidance, my source, my higher energy of feeling better about myself. So it makes us lower down here. And when we're down here and all of this stuff, it gets to the point where we basically have these veils of almost darkness over us. I call those veils like veils of depression. Depression is very heavy. It's very dark. And until you start to poke holes in that energy and lift away that sadness, that depression, you make yourself susceptible to that negative energy that you picked up on in your dream. Because now you're closer to here than you are here.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense? So here this stuff is, and they're like, and things that are down in the dark, we'll call it, or down in the lower vibrational energy, they need energy to live off of, and they're not connected. You're connected. So then they start coming over to you. And it's whether or not you give permission for that lower energy to connect to you. And whether it's a spider, that's just an example of what I'm saying, or a Pac-Man ghost, it's whatever's in there, that negative energy, whatever it might be. It can be other people's emotion, it can be other people, it can be ghosts, it can be whatever. You don't ever want to be this low down. You want to make sure you're staying in the middle. Okay? So on a side note, just to kind of give you a description of what I believe the difference between spirit and ghost is, I believe spirits live on the other side. So when you pass away, so remember, I gotta clean my aura, because when I'm up here, I'm good. Right? So here we go. I'm cleared up here. So what happens is, I'm tethered to source. This is where the energy's flowing in from my soul. When I pass away, it's as if that line is cut, the light opens up, and we go back to where we came from, per se. So I believe we're spirits when we go where we're supposed to go after we pass. If you don't go to the light, and I've heard so many reasons why, like, I grew up Catholic, and nothing against Catholic religion. I actually, if you sat back and really, which is actually quite beautiful if you really watch, like, everything they do. But I believed that if you go to the light and you did bad things, you're going to be judged. So a lot of people will actually, the light will open up and they'll run like the dickens from it because they don't want to be judged. So what happens is their soul, remember, they're not tethered anymore, so then they drop down here. They might still have a little residual energy left, but eventually that dies off because they're not connected to source. And if they don't find another source, that's when I think they can become darker. Where I said they're human energy, but they don't have anything to live off and draw off of anymore, they kind of become more dark and gets absorbed into that darkness, if that makes sense.
Now, what was interesting to what you were saying, and a lot of our viewers probably don't know this, you said permission.
Yes. You do need to give permission.
How do you give permission? I mean, there could be oogly booglies or something that comes across your path, but for something that attaches to you, do you accidentally give them permission?
Well,
or
this is my belief on how I've interpreted what I've learned over the years. I believe we subconsciously give permission by being the victim of our surroundings. Now, mind you, I think some people are victimized by certain things they go through, but this is beyond that kind of victimization. This is you being a victim of the choices you've made in life. Okay? I have had many attachments. Not gonna lie. I've had to get many clearings. This is how I've learned about all this dark energy, because I lived a life 20 years ago. I told you in the last episode that's when I kind of opened up, was I lived a life of being a victim. I wasn't a leader of my life. It was the woe's me. It's what can I do to feel better, or what did you do to hurt me? And whether or not the people that knew me 20 years ago, they'd be like, no way, you were always wicked nice. But I wasn't nice. I was playing the victim. It was poor me all the time. So I lived so close down here, and I gave permission by never, ever, ever trying to figure out why I sat in depression, why I felt like I was not in control of my life. You know what I mean? So the lower you are here, you're ultimately giving permission by living in your dark space.
okay.
So I think most of us, as I did when I was at that point, it was very subconscious. It wasn't like I said, oh yeah, come on in. It's a very subconscious thing. And I didn't realize that I was even doing it until I was taught how to bring myself back up here. So
Okay.
I think, and then once you're up here, you're back up here, you're aware, it's like you're not going to give permission. Like, I'm not going to go to a haunted house and be like, you can use me as energy.
Okay, because I think that's what a lot of people I know personally. For me, that's what I was afraid of, was would they attach to me? Like, am I giving them subconscious permission? Am I really down here when I should be up here?
Yeah.
Because I think when I first saw you, I was probably somewhere in here. I know I wasn't here. I know I
Right.
wasn't down here, but I was kind of in that the
Absolutely.
middle ground.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have that permission of all the energies and everything around me. And for our viewers, that might be something that they're trying to figure out. If they walk into a haunted house, are they giving permission to attack?
First off, things you can do is if you're like, I'm going to go to a haunted house and I know that I'm down here, you still can kind of protect yourself. I tell people to envision themselves in a beam of white light.
Right.
I always think that Beam Me Up Scotty alien abduction where it goes to the alien ship, but you don't want it to go to an alien ship. It's just up in the sky, down into the earth. You just by doing that, you're basically saying, I'm standing in my own light. Nothing can connect to me. So if you are dabbling in this kind of stuff, not necessarily the spiritual aspect, because I don't dwell down here unless I have to help somebody, is if you're going to a haunted house and you want to explore those experiences, which can be pretty cool, you just always have to protect yourself by not giving permission and consciously stating to yourself, even if it's within your mind, I am protected, nothing has permission to connect to me. You know, until you know you're up here and I walk through a place and they ain't connecting to me. I just know for fact. Do you know what I mean? But it's taken 20 years to get to that. Right. So for any viewers that, again, you do it. I was taught when I first began is to envision yourself in an egg of white light is another one. You also can utilize tools, like we're going to talk about hematite today. Hematite is a great stone that's dark, so you're not like a gleaming light going through a haunted house, but it keeps you protected. And by holding that stone, you know that that's a stone I'm going to hold and nothing can attach to me. So you can use tools, or you can just envision. But the ultimate thing is you state that you do not give permission. Nothing will attach to you and mean it. If you're not strong, I'm going off on a tangent. Y'all got to listen to me. If you're not strong enough to walk into a place that has a haunting and not strong enough to believe that nothing's going to attach to you because you don't give it permission, then you don't go in the haunted house. You don't dabble in the Ouija boards and any type of divination that chalks to lower vibrational stuff. My life is up here. I only talk to people's spirit guides. I connect to a higher power, not a lower energy. So, does that answer the question without me? Okay.
That answered it completely.
Perfect.
And
Yay.
same with me. I dabble in things up here. I've tried down here. They avoid me. They don't like me.
No, like, yeah.
They stay away. They will take a peek, and I've had spirits come and take a peek where I felt, what is this? Because I'm so bright, where they want to take a look. But they don't want anything to do with me.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy.
And that's what you'll find. The more you live in your, like the people will call, I hear a lot of people call it living in love and light. Like we called it last week was find your love spot. But being centered and living in your love and light, you'll never have to deal with darkness anyway. But doesn't mean you're going to walk through it. I'll walk through something and then it feels like something walks through me, or, you know, I just ignore. I'm not a nosy psychic anymore. I used to be. So, but I'm sure we'll tell stories of some crazy stuff that I've had attached to me. And
the funny thing is, with us being as high, we feel the negative energy. We feel how much it burdens us. Like, it's a weight.
Well, it's depression. When I have something around, because I'm not saying nothing ever taps in, you know, something keeps, so how I usually know I'm falling down, like say I'm up here and, you know, I'm a human being. Things happen, I have emotions, I get uncentered or not balanced or start to slip into the victim mentality. I start feeling myself slide. There's some key things you can do. I get anxiety. Stupid. Not like full-blown panic attacks, but like I just feel anxious a little bit more. Like my physical body, like my eye twitches, like my eyebrow. It's stupid, but these are little signs that when you can live at a higher energy and feel clearer all the time, when you start to drop down, you'll start to realize what your signs are. But a big one is anxiety. A big one for me is my eye twitches. That's just me personally. Silly.
Actually, my eye twitches too.
It's weird.
I thought it was a potassium issue.
No, it's my eye twitches. It's so weird. And then another thing is, it sounds so stupid, is the pile of clothes on my bed. So I wake up in the morning and I try on clothes. If I've tried on many different outfits and it's the same outfits I used to wear and I just literally feel heavy, or I look in the mirror and I don't like the way I look, like I'm really like not being nice to myself in my mind, chances are you're sliding down. It's not that I look in the mirror and think, you're beautiful, by any means. I mean, I still don't like my excess skin on my neck and da-da-da-da-da. But it's a different feeling. It's that you have a favorite outfit and you wore it last week, but now you can't, it doesn't look good. And everything else you try, and you have that mound of clothes before you go to work in the morning. Take a minute, because that's probably your bad day. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's probably you slipping. So those are some key things that you can figure out as whether or not you're starting to move down here. So, but anyway, so we do practice things like use the stones, energy work, that beam of white light I just said, and what you try to do is just get yourself back up here.
And that's the other thing I was going to try to transition to is what can our audience members do to raise them up? And you said it was a beam of white light, stones.
The beam of white light is definitely the easiest one. Is like if you wake up and you're in a bad mood, or your body hurts, or you just feel heavy, get in that shower. Let the picture the water is literally cleansing all that negative energy and sadness off of you, and picture yourself in that beam of white light. And then another one that I use, I'm just getting my high-tech eraser. We're not classy up in here. Boop. So we have the beam of white light. So again, let's be stick figures. So you just picture yourself, so you're standing on the ground, and you picture a beam of light that goes down into the ground and up into the sky. Literally, you just do it. Just picture the beam. And I always say to myself, release all that's not needed with ease, elegance, and grace. It's just this thing I think my Reiki master said that's what she used to say, and it just stuck with me. So that's one thing. Another thing is this is my favorite one, and a lot of people that know me know I talk about the hula hoop. So I picture a hula hoop above my head. Okay? You can do this at any time. Every time you go to the bathroom, take a shower, go to bed, watch TV, eat your food, driving, it doesn't matter. Just do it all the time. Whenever I feel that emotional charge that I spoke about, like somebody pushes my buttons and I was like, oh, you hurt my feelings, you ass. I picture a hula hoop above my head. Mine's green and white. I probably had a green and white when I was a kid, but that's what I picture. And I slowly picture that hula hoop going down my body as if I'm in the middle of it, and it's literally just going around my body. Okay? Not that I have 3 hula hoops. This is supposed to be my artsy way of showing you that the hula hoop moves down my body. Okay? It takes like a minute and a half, but what you picture that hula hoop just kind of clearing away all that you don't need with ease, elegance, and grace. And it's bringing your spirit back in your body. So if you're not completely grounded and you're hovering over yourself, this will help bring it down. But those are 2 that tend to work for people. And then another one is one of the many stones, but today and we can transition into this, we're going to talk about hematite. So.
And hematite you can just have on your desk. You can hold it. I tend to put all my stones in my little women pocket bag. I guess you could say the all natural
put them in your bra.
That way you can feel the energy. Woo!
Yeah. So, I made a little tiny commercial about hematite. You're going to play it?
Yes.
So.
Right here. Hematite.
Hematite is a very grounding stone, and it's mostly used for protection and stability. The word hematite is derived from a Greek word that means blood. As a result, it's known as a bloodstone and has been employed as a talisman against excessive blood flow. Hematite is also a symbol for grounding and protection, and people use hematite to protect themselves against negative energies in their surroundings. It balances the energy between your mind, body, spirit, and creates harmony between you and everything around you. Hematite also has very stress-relieving qualities as well. So if you're feeling an overabundance of stress in your life, feeling disconnected from yourself or your life around you, it's very beneficial for you to have hematite in your life. Ways you can utilize it is through using it as jewelry, from earrings to necklace, even a bracelet, or just have pieces of the stone around your thing.
So, but yes, I love hematite. I actually have earrings on. I think you have the same ones.
Yep.
So, again, stones are great because stones hold the energy that we're trying to obtain. So we're trying to obtain grounding energy. The stone already has it. Because some people are like, oh yeah, what are we going to do with the stones? Stones are stupid. it's a rock, but whatever, it has the energy in it. So that's the whole purpose of using these tools that are outside of ourselves, is to get what it is that we're not having luck creating on our own. Or we just enjoy having that extra added energy of it. So,
and with the stones as well, if you have a vision board or if you're trying to manifest something,
Yep.
having the stones nearby will help manifest whatever that you're trying to do personally. It could be a career path, it could be something creative, something that has been on your mind. If you have a particular stone, it will help push it even further to make it happen.
yeah, it gives us more energy. So with the hematite, like what we've been talking about today, is the hematite, and you can get magnetic hematite. I love those. I just got new ones. I wish I had them here to show you guys.
I love
So
those.
I just got like 30 magnetic ones. So the magnetic hematite, not only does it ground you, it helps clear you, it also helps with pain. But if you think about it, your pain, the heavier you are energetically, the worse your pain is. I will admit, I have chronic pain. I'm a cancer survivor. And after my journey of cancer through chemo, I developed neuropathy in my hands and feet. And to be honest, I've just never quite been the same. But I will tell you, my pain is a lot worse when I'm not in the best place. And that's another sign of showing that I'm slipping into my dark spot. I swear my hands and feet, they tend to hurt a lot, but they hurt really bad when I'm down. But anyway, hematite, that's why a lot of times you'll see me wear the hematite earrings. I have bracelets that are hematite, because that magnetic hematite helps with pain, it helps with grounding, it helps with clearing, it helps with, it's considered a bloodstone, so it helps with your circulation. It's really an amazing stone. But sorry, go ahead.
And arthritis too. It'll help with arthritis pain if you have a little bracelet. And this is more of like a new age medical.
Yeah.
Because within the hospital, they're teaching their nurses in physical rehabilitation places to use Reiki or to use certain type of stones.
Mm-hmm.
It's new age healing. What do you call that? More like a
Western philosophy. I think that's what it is. Western
think so.
philosophy.
But it's being introduced more into the hospitals and the medical world. So it's not a bunch of hocus pocus.
Right. And I used to always say to everyone, even if you don't believe that a stone can do anything, but by carrying that stone around in your pocket and knowing that you got that hematite and knowing it was to keep grounded and to help you with your pain and whatever, every time you see it, it's intention based. It's going to remind you, you know what? No, I'm in control. Nothing's attaching to me. If I'm feeling negative, I know I need to clear that away. It's a reminder, if anything. So I think stones work for whether you believe or not. I think that they're tools that we can utilize in many ways.
And with that hematite energy, if there's something negative around, will it act like a force field?
Absolutely. That's
Very
why. Because that energy of that hematite, it gets into your aura. So that's ultimately, your aura is your soul. So it's almost as if the point of the protection stones is you hold them, it puts that force field. Again, I was told at the beginning to envision, yourself in an egg of white light. Just think of it as you have those stones, and it just instantly puts out that stronger energy that you may feel like you're not strong enough to repel. The stones help you get that strength.
Right. Is there a point when you won't need the hematite? Because I've lost hematite before. Like, I place it somewhere and I can't find it. Or I thought I left it somewhere and it shatters. I had a hematite bracelet once and I dropped it and it just shattered. And what exactly does that mean? You don't need it, or?
Yeah, I always find that when the stone's done with you, you've used up what it needs to, or it's just not meant for you anymore, the energy of that particular stone, it'll either break or you'll lose it. I only giggled when you said it shattered, because I'm like, she put that stone to work. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's funny because that was when I had that dream. That's when I got the hematite bracelet.
Oh, wow.
It was shortly after I had that dream. My mom took me to Whole Food, Trader Joe. No, Sprouts. It was Sprouts, and they had hematite bracelets. And my mom said, oh, this is a really strong, it was magnetic, and she said, this
I
is
love
really
the
strong
magnetic.
energy, and this is something that you need. And she learned a little bit of Reiki because she was a nurse, and that's what I mentioned earlier about the medical field, introducing Reiki. And she learned that that energy would repel negative energy. So she gave that to me, and I had it for years until one day it just broke.
I think it just was done, not to be in a bad way, but it was done with you. But, and I also find whether yours broke, so obviously it was done, but I also feel like sometimes we lose a stone, but hopefully somebody else picked it up and maybe it was meant for them. So when I can't find something, I'm always like, well, maybe it's just somebody else is utilizing it. Or I've had stones and I'm using it, and then I meet someone or I do an energy session on someone, and with all of my being, I'm like, I've got to give this to you.
Yes.
Even if I don't want to give it away, like in my head, I'm like, that's my favorite stone. But it's this, you can't control it. I just need to give it to the person. So I follow those and I give people stuff all the time, just to make sure that they have what they need.
Well, we went through the circle of stones, and when you need it or when you don't, and when it's time to give it to somebody too.
Yeah.
You have that overwhelming feeling. I had that recently too. And it's a losing feeling, but it's a happy feeling.
Yes, you just have to remember it's being put to good use.
You personally don't need it anymore. It's for that person.
Yeah.
So for, let's see here, we went through the energy.
Yep.
And that's what we were talking about, was what exactly is energy? Would you say that's kind of a roundabout?
Definitely. I mean, it's a never-ending topic. We could probably talk about it forever. But I'm hoping that what you guys realize today is that your energy, you are ultimately in control of it. You know, we open ourselves up to negative energy, so we have to be consciously not allow that to happen. Do you know what I mean?
And for me personally, yeah. Yeah, I realize.
I had to learn the hard way, so.
Maybe we can dabble into that one. You said you were in the negative place at the...
Absolutely.
At the time?
When I first opened up, I was in a very negative place, and I never really knew about attachments or anything. It was just more like I learned Reiki, like I had spoke about last week, and I personally wasn't in a good place. So when I opened up, I didn't realize that I was in such a lower vibrational place, like I was the lowest on the board. So when I opened up, and I didn't know that I was psychic. People would tell me I was, and it was like a joke. Like, we would have like a few drinks and like party in our 20s, and my boyfriend at the time would say, oh my God, Stacy's gonna do her thing. And so he'd be like, do your thing, and I would go around and read everyone in the room, but I always pointed out their flaws. Like, it was their deep secrets. And I would make some of these, and it always was a lot of men, and they used to cry. And I just thought I was making things up, like I didn't know. So, being in a dark place, opening up intuitively, because I was attuned for Reiki, when I opened up, I began to see the darkness that I was in. And I had lots of negative energy and entities around me. So I had to crawl my way out of it. So I've learned a lot about how to protect yourself, how to not be the victim of your own life, the fact that I'm in control of what I do. It is none of my business what other people think. It's like I've learned so much on how to bring myself back up, because ultimately it was my own fault that I was there.
And you need to let things go.
Yeah.
That's the hardest one.
And throughout that, I saw just some really darkness. I mean, I've seen things that, I don't know what you call them, but they I wish I could draw it out on the board, but it's like they have these big, huge wings and these long legs, and they look like, what are those, the statues in front of the big buildings?
Gargoyles.
Gargoyles. Like, I saw one, I walked into a friend's house, we were doing a Reiki session, and I literally, like I am looking at Leslie, saw one of those things leaning over a couch. And with all of my inside, it was like, get the hell out of there. So I chose to not help with that energy session on that person. What I was doing is I was seeing that person's attachment. See what I mean? I would sit at someone's house, and I remember I was sitting in someone's house, and I literally looked down the hallway, and I knew there was only a few of us there, and we were all in the one room. And I looked over, and I could see somebody standing in her bedroom, and then all of a sudden I got the worst pain in my chest, like I'm talking like you might as well have just stuck a sword in my chest because it hurt so bad. It was like I couldn't catch my breath. And what it was the ghost of the person that lived there before and they had a heart attack. So what happened when I was lower vibrational, I would pick up on all that negative energy that was around me. And then I felt like I was in it. Does that make sense? Like, now I've raised above it, so yes, I can feel it, I can tap into it if need be, but I wasn't living in the depths of that darkness anymore. I'm not anymore, but at the time I was. So I was seeing and feeling other people's darkness. And it was not pleasant, and I used to thought I was insane. And maybe many of you think I am listening to this.
No. Excuse me, I'm going to call the nut house here.
I did once. I thought I was schizophrenic. But I'm not.
I've been tested, so I can officially
It's
say.
been confirmed. I'm not insane.
But you might feel like you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, but I mean, having the ability to see people's darkness, I have been able to help people with haunted houses. So, and that will be fun stories to tell about the different hauntings.
I would do that next week.
Because I do enjoy clearing houses, and I do like hearing the story. It's like the walls could talk. You go in and you read the house. I'm strong enough to go in there and enjoy the stories that I see, hear, and feel without worrying they're going to attach to me now. So I enjoy my gifts more now. When I do not dwell, I don't play in the dark, but if I have to go in to help somebody in the dark, I will.
I think that will be a really good topic for next week. We should write that down.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
So, ghost stories next week, I guess we'll
'Cause
say.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah,
And
I'll tell some
something's telling me.
stories. I'll think of some of the, I mean, there's a lot of them, but I'll pick out a couple of good ones.
I think that the haunted house, and just seeing or hearing stories, because I heard stories of a spirit getting really negative and physical with the people
Oh, yeah.
at the house.
Yep.
Like, that must be really strong in order to move things or try to
Yeah.
or harm people. I mean,
There's the people that literally have collapsed lungs, they can't breathe, broken bones. Like, I've seen some crazy stuff, but I'll only tell you the stories of what I know. So, mind you, this will be my personal experience stories, not that I've done research on any type of specific type of entity or ghosts. So, these are personal experience stories.
I don't have any.
I have a lot of them.
I've had feelings, but I haven't dwelled in there. Like, I used to walk around cemeteries. I've had a few experiences in some older theaters because I used to do a lot of theater
Yes.
when I was younger. From my family side, my great grandmother lived down the street from the Amityville house in
Ooh.
New York. And she told me some stories along those lines of, well, during that time, a lot of people didn't believe.
Right.
So to hear stories about that, was it real? Was it not? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, because I grew up this was all nonsense. Like, I didn't grow up believing in all of this stuff.
Right.
So, I can see that.
Well, and people try to rationalize it, like, oh, the person was drunk, or they
Yeah.
were abusive, or they're going through things. And people would just put it into a box and label it, and that's A-okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there's something deeper.
There is, yeah.
So, next week, come join us on that, and we will talk about that.
Yes, we'll tell some ghost stories, definitely. We'll talk about ghost stories and maybe saging.
I think that
Instead of
would
a
be really
stone,
good
we'll
thing.
do saging or something. But anyway,
What do you feel?
we'll keep talking.
What do you feel about oils? Because we were talking about tools of protection.
Oh, oils are awesome.
I created something, just a little spray bottle
Yep.
or something. I looked up a protection spell, we'll say,
Yeah.
with oils, and that's something that I use today to just align myself. I was so out of whack. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
the
I
full
love
moon.
it. Smell, scent, the oil. I have a roll-on I keep at my desk because I work a job where you can go in the office and work outside the office. When I'm in the office, just because I'm so used to being home a lot, I get a little, because again, I pick up on everybody's energy. I get a little off balance sometimes when it's like I walk in and everybody's there. That's what I have, an essential oil. It's a roller, and I roll it on my wrist. It actually smells really good. So it's perfume, but it has another purpose. So I'm a big believer in oil. So we'll attack that topic too.
Yes.
We're going to be talking for years. There's so much.
Oh, Actually, there are so many different tools that people do use to protect themselves, but these are just the basic ones. And with oils, make sure if you're putting it on your skin, they have some type of, was it olive oil?
Carrier oil.
Carrier oil. Don't just get the aromatherapy one, or like the aromatic ones.
Yep.
There we go. Get the aromatherapy ones, not the aromatic. Because if you put the aromatic ones on, it will burn you.
Yeah, and consult oil consultants, because there's quite a few out there, and I'm sure there are some in your area, that they're very knowledgeable in what the different oils do. And I'm always big on consult the people that do it. Like,
Don't do it on your own unless you
I have certain oils I like to use, but I've been taught that from people who know oils.
Exactly. And I have lavender that I always have, but that was something that was taught to me by somebody that knew oils. And I know the brand to use and what can be put on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't just put random oil.
No, I've done that. It burns you.
It's not fun.
So, all right, awesome.
So let's see here. Personal reflection. So with the energy around today, have you felt anything negative? Because for me personally, I just was pulled down. I had a fight with my husband. I just a little nitpicking here and there. Ended up with me just feeling like I wanted to cry and burst out in tears and just push everything away and make myself feel a horrible person. It was one of those days of just bringing myself down. So I had to sit down and hula hoop today.
I'm glad you hula hooped. The hula hoop rocks.
It helped align. And then also the other one that you taught me that I've personally, when everything's just all crazy around, you just stare out in space and you just let everything come right out. And I imagine little like ear things.
You're doing it right.
And
Yeah.
you go, whoo.
Yeah.
And that's the best I can describe. Was it like just little
Yeah, what you're doing
or-
is you're concentrating on the energy of your ears. Because everything, if I tap on this table, it makes a vibration of energy through the sound. So when you're focusing on the ears, you're focusing on your ears, you're focusing on the energy.
Yes.
So it helps you kind of think of it as you're hula hooping to bring yourself down, and then you're letting your energy come out through your eyes and your ears, so it's making you balanced and centered.
And
It's called presence
it's
techniques.
absolutely amazing because after I do that, everything goes blurry in my vision and then it comes clear.
It's
And-
like puff.
yeah, and I can't ever go back and make it go blurry again. I've
Yeah.
tried. I've tried. I'm like, okay, let me see. Is that everything? Is that everything?
Yeah, isn't it funny? It just goes puff. That's all I can explain. It goes puff.
And you feel so much lighter.
Yeah.
That when I'm sitting at work and everything is going all down the crapshoot, that's exactly what I do.
Crapshoot. That's a good one. It's all going down the shitter. Sorry.
It's so true though. When you're
That's
sitting
great.
at work and everything is just negative, and that's what I felt like today because we had a snow day, and so Aaron was at work, and then Aaron was at home from work, and then I was at home, and then I was just all those energies, everything just coming together.
And that's what happens. You're human.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be emotional. We're supposed to be emotions go up and down all throughout the day. It's just you could have stayed there. Well, no, you were high energy but negative. We'll call it low energy. You could have stayed there, and a lot of people do. And then they try to find an excuse as to why they're feeling that way without looking in the mirror and thinking it's you. And then we start to get mad, and then we start to think, and then we live in that energy. Do you see how it can work? And then instead of you just doing those techniques and letting it go, you then put it in your stomach, and then you hold and then so we'll just use your husband because you were talking about, you can hold on to that resentment to Aaron. So it's in there, it's tucked into underneath your rib cage, but say that you're holding on to it. Okay, go on with life. Again, something else happens, more resentment of somebody else. Do you see what I mean? Like, but you didn't. You stopped. You're like, nope, this isn't how I'm supposed to feel, and you did something about it.
That's the hardest thing to do.
It's huge. It's huge. Most people get caught up in their emotions and want to live there.
And with it going around and around and around in circles, can you go into such a deep depression where you're just pushing and pushing negative energy at yourself?
Oh
And
my God,
you
yes, that's depression.
You're there,
Mhm.
and you're just there.
Yeah.
You can't do anything right. Nothing will happen.
No, and then you piled up. Think of all that. You're holding on to all those burdens, And it's like as if you are literally living every emotion you've ever held on to, and then you're instantly in fight or flight mode. Because that's what that does to you. And what is fight or flight mode? You either fight with anger outwardly, right? Or you flight, which means you avoid situations, but usually the flighters that avoid everything turn that anger inwards. That's when they start to get anxiety and depression.
Oh.
So we just keep holding on to all that crap that we should be letting go of. That's where we get. It's fight or flight mode, hands down on everything. You know, we're not supposed to be in fight or flight mode when we're just fighting with our spouse but you can see how people can get there.
Let things go, everybody.
Yeah.
It's the best thing you can do.
It'll be the hardest thing you ever teach yourself, but the best thing you ever do.
Probably help with the longevity of your life.
Yeah.
Add a few more years.
And I did write a book. It's called Understanding You by Stacy Lynn. It definitely needs to be rewritten. It is just my workbook that's out there. If you Google that, it's on like barnesandnobles.com, Amazon. Grab it. I think you can get it wicked cheap for like Kindle. And someday I'll rewrite it and I'll tell you all about it. But it's step by step on how I learned to let things go.
It's so easy. It's a short read. And I have to say, it's something that you can just sit down in your bed and read a chapter a night. The chapters are short, but they're to the points. You were inspired by spirit when you sat down and wrote that. It was
absolutely.
Just speaking through you.
Yeah, because I wasn't in the best place when I wrote it. It was almost like I was starting to see a trend that I was intuitively helping people, and I realized I was telling everybody the same thing, but different per the person. So that's when I just packaged it all up, sat down, I wrote it in a weekend, and put it together and published it. But it's definitely needs to be edited. But I like that it needs to be edited because those coaching clients that come in and they bring my book back completely edited. They didn't focus on their own problems while reading it. They focused on what my problems were. See what I mean? So it ended up being a blessing because that helps me when I'm working with someone. So, but anyway.
So go find her book if you're interested on knowing how to let things go.
Yep.
And also Reiki is another great thing. If you're interested in having a Reiki session to get rid of some of the bad negative energy, you can contact me or you can contact Stacy. I'm able to provide a lot of the higher energy and get rid of a lot of the negative ones. But if you have deep depression and you're looking and seeking to get out of that really low state, because I think some people have that deep depression as that first step in order to get into the higher vibrational lights, go to Stacy. There could be an attachment.
We'll pull that right off you.
Exactly. You have a little bit more knowledge in that.
You'll be there.
I think I consulted you about somebody that came to me and said, I know somebody that is in that deep depression and they are talking in a third party.
Yeah.
And for something like that, I don't want to. I'm light, but that's a little out of my realm.
Yeah. And I have other people I can call upon that help do it. So
exactly, that might be a little bit bigger of a case.
But if you're finding it a hard time finding your personal light, like you're like, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not feeling what you're saying, contact one of us because we can help you with the first steps by doing Reiki. And if you're like, we have no idea where you live, we're not local to you, just contact us and you do it remotely. You talk on the phone, talk on Zoom, talk on whatever platform, and you actually do the session distance. You don't have to be in the same room with the person. It's actually quite cool.
And a lot of people nowadays, especially with COVID, they want to do more of the social distance.
Yeah.
And that's very helpful. Doing it remotely, I can do it over the telephone. Stacy can too as well.
Yeah.
Zoom, I prefer Zoom. So
Yeah.
that way you can physically see the person. Or, this was a really nice one. Doing it at a certain time, but distance.
Yeah.
So you can put something like on hold or in a pin or make an appointment with somebody to think of a specific thing that they're trying to work through, or they're trying to seek guidance from their spirit guides, and say, I'm going to think about this at 9 o'clock tonight, work on that, and then you can come back to them with some type of an email or a breakdown as well. It doesn't have to be physically on the phone or
right.
in front of you personally at this moment.
Yeah, I prefer having a quick consultation with you, and then I do it without you on the phone with me.
I like
That's
that
how
too.
I prefer it, only because then we can, channel out whatever information we got during the session. So,
And to tell you the truth, I like that a lot as well, because I have done automatic writing,
Yeah.
and that it just seeps through it, just like you did with your book. It's I hear voices.
as long as they're telling you to do good things. Just kidding.
I don't know sometimes. I always ask you first, though.
Yeah, it's got to be positive. People say, I hear voices. Are they positive or are they negative? If they're negative, seek help.
But yeah, come contact us if you have any questions. Just post.
Yeah.
That's the best thing.
And always remember, what we're talking about is spiritual. It's never a replacement for any type of mental health, medical advice, or treatment. That's our CYA comment.
We can recommend doctors or other treatment within your area or within the area that we live in.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Cool. So anyway, we have a lot to cover. We've been talking for an hour. It may not be an hour once we edit out the dog coming in, but who knows. But anyway,
She
so
just wanted
sweet.
to say hi.
True. Anything else that you want to talk about, or are we good? There's a lot more things we want to talk about.
There's
but
a lot more things, but I think that covered everything that we were talking about. Energy, lower energy, how to get rid of it, the tools, especially stones. And this is brought to you by the Underground Minerals and More.
yes, undergroundminerals.com.
So come check us out. Comment, and subscribe.
And
below.
share. Let's pass this around. But yes, make sure you subscribe and like it and pass it along.
And what we're going to call this is our loving light or happy place.
Our love spot.
Yes, the love spot. Well, I hope that you enjoyed coming to our love spot.
That's what we called it last week. Anyway, bye.